Hi there, my name's Adrian and you've decided you want to learn to play guitar. So what kind of guitar should you be going out and buying? That's the question I'm going to attempt to answer in the course of this lesson. Now the first thing I would say is that gear and having a fancy instrument is nowhere near as important as a lot of guitar players seem to think it is. If you've got an old guitar kicking around the house, if it's got 6 strings on it, if it stays more or less in tune, then that's going to be absolutely fine to get started on. You can make some great music on cheap instruments, and many people have done. I mean, if you look at some of the old blues guys, they will have learned to play on homemade guitars or rubbish guitars bought from catalogues. I certainly started out on a cheap and not terribly easy to play guitar, and I think there's something to be said for paying your dues a little bit on a cheaper instrument, and then maybe when you're 6 months or a year down the line you can buy a bit more of a serious guitar, and by that point you'll be in a better position to know what is a good guitar and what isn't, and exactly what you're after. Now, having said all that, if you're a beginner and you haven't yet got a guitar, then having something that's halfway decent is going to make the whole process of learning a bit more easy and a bit more pleasurable. So for the rest of this lesson I'm just going to take a look at a few of the different types of guitar and hopefully help you arrive at a decision as to what to go out and buy. So let's look at acoustic guitars to start with. Now an acoustic guitar is any guitar which you don't have to plug in and you don't need to amplify. So it's probably going to look something like this. It's going to be hollow bodied, it's going to have a sound hole which the sound projects from. Now within the category of acoustic guitars there are a couple of different main types of guitar. The guitar that I'm holding right now is a nylon string acoustic guitar, also called a classical guitar or a Spanish guitar, and it's got that nice sort of mellow Spanish sound to it. Now if you're a beginner I'd probably recommend against getting one of these as your first instrument. The reason being it's a bit more of a specialised instrument. It's ideal if you want to play classical music or flamenco or certain types of Latin music, but if you want to play rock and pop and folk, the kind of things I'm going to be dealing with in this course, then it's not the ideal instrument. I mean, if this is all you've got, if you've got one of these guitars already, then it's going to be absolutely fine. The notes are the same, you can play it with the same kind of techniques that I'm going to be showing you. So don't worry if this is all you've got access to. But if you haven't yet got a guitar, then there are going to be a couple of better options. So the other type of acoustic guitar we have is the steel string acoustic, which is what I'm holding here. And if you're a beginner who's not sure what kind of guitar they should be getting, then I strongly recommend you go out and get yourself one of these, a steel string acoustic. They've got a lovely sort of bright and full sound which is ideally suited to all different kinds of music, and you can get a good one reasonably cheaply. They're portable, you can take it around anywhere you like with you. You can take it to friends' houses, take it to parties, and they're a really good choice for a beginner. So if you're going to be getting yourself one of these, there are a few things you could bear in mind. First thing is the type of wood that the guitar is made out of. You want to try and make sure it's made of solid wood. That's what's going to give you the best sound. You know, some guitars are made of sort of laminate or something like that, which is generally to be avoided. The other important thing is what's called the guitar's action, and all that means is how high the strings are from the fingerboard. So you can see this by looking at the side of the guitar and looking at the gap between the bottom of the string and the frets on the guitar. So on this guitar I can see it's about sort of 3 millimeters, something like that. Any more than sort of 4 or 5 millimeters, then the guitar does become a real struggle to play, and yeah, makes your life as a beginner guitar player pretty hard. So try and avoid guitars with super high actions. Now the other thing you could think about is that the shape of the guitar. The guitar I've got here, this is kind of your standard size steel string acoustic. It's sometimes called a jumbo acoustic or a dreadnought, and it's a quite a big bodied guitar. I mean, the advantage of that is it means it's got quite a full bassy sound to it. But you might prefer a slightly smaller body size. I mean, I've got a few different acoustics. This one here, I'll just show you. This one here has got a much smaller body. This is sometimes called a parlor-sized guitar, and it's actually a lot more comfortable to play. I find myself picking this one up a lot more regularly than I do the bigger acoustic. Particularly if you're a kid or you're slightly smaller in stature like myself, you might want to try out a smaller bodied acoustic guitar. That might be the way to go for you. So coming on to the electric guitar, and the first thing I would say is that if you want to play electric guitar, get yourself an electric guitar. It seems like a very obvious thing to say, but some people seem to think that you should start out on an acoustic guitar and then graduate onto an electric guitar once you've learned the basics. But I don't really think there's any point in doing that. The actual price of an acoustic guitar and electric guitar is exactly the same, so that doesn't make any difference. Now, things to bear in mind if you're buying yourself an electric guitar. I mean, same kind of things as when you're buying an acoustic, actually. So try and get the best quality solid wood as possible. Take a look at the guitar's action. Make sure that's not too high. You'll find that in general, electric guitars are easier to play than acoustic guitars. The action is going to be slightly better. The strings are going to be closer to the fingerboard. Often the strings are lighter as well, meaning they're thinner and easier to press down. The other thing you're going to need is you're going to have to plug the electric guitar in. So you're going to need an amplifier of some kind. I mean, you could play an electric guitar unamplified, but you know, as you can hear, it sounds absolutely rubbish unless you plug it in. And surely the point of having an electric guitar is that it sounds cool and big and loud, and it's just completely uninspiring to play if it's not plugged in. So you'll want an amplifier of some kind. It doesn't have to be anything expensive or fancy, and in fact a lot of shops will give you some kind of beginner's package where you get a guitar and a lead and a small practice amplifier, which should be, you know, adequate to get started with. And I suppose that's where the acoustic sort of has a bit of an advantage over the electric guitar, is that it's a lot more portable. With the electric guitar, you have got the sort of the hassle of having to plug it in every time you want to practice. So let me try and sum things up a little bit. As a beginner, doesn't matter whether you start to play on acoustic or an electric guitar. That's a personal choice. The notes and the techniques I'm going to be showing you are exactly the same, whether it's acoustic or electric. How much do you want to spend on your first guitar? I would say, I mean, if you're in Britain, spend between £100 and £200 and you should be able to get something that's fairly decent. Don't go super cheap or you'll be getting a guitar that doesn't stay in tune and is a real battle to play. Where should you get your guitar from? Obviously the temptation these days is to get it online, which is fine. You'll probably get the best deals there, and I think quality control these days is usually pretty good, so you shouldn't have too many worries on that account. But I still personally think it's better to actually go into a music shop and see and try out a guitar for yourself. I mean, without wanting to sound too poncy, you need to sort of form a connection with the instrument that you're going to be choosing. It's kind of a tactile thing, it's a spiritual thing. So even if you go into a music shop and you can't play anything, just pick up the guitar, feel it. How does it feel? The weight of the guitar. Yeah, what does it look like? Does it look cool? That's obviously a very important thing as well. And it's important to feel some kind of connection with your instrument, because after all, you're going to be spending a long time with it practicing. So I think that's about everything for this lesson. I realise I haven't gone into any detail about which specific makes and models of guitar I think you should get, and that's mainly because I don't have an exhaustive knowledge of everything that's available at the moment, and that's really where it comes down to you. You need to go away and do some research, maybe talk to some friends, read some reviews online, maybe go into a few music shops and talk to the people there, try out a few guitars, even if that just means picking up the guitar and seeing how it feels and checking that it looks cool. What I might do is put up a few recommendations on the website of guitars that I particularly like. So good luck finding your first guitar, and I'll see you again for another lesson really soon.